And one of the things that really struck me that came out of the report that we have just released is the unfortunate fact that only 1 out of 4 high school graduates in Illinois are really prepared for what comes after high school. That means 3 out of 4 aren't making it. And to me, that is a shocking statistic and something that underscores whether we like it or not, we need to bring about change, and we need to bring about radical change.
Never has a course of action obviously been so clear. Many states and even some schools and districts right here in Illinois are successfully implementing many of the reforms which we are discussing today. So therefore, we know that these reforms work. The opportunity obviously has never been greater. As you'll hear later, there are billions of dollars in new stimulus money Illinois could capture if we show we are working to reinvent our schools.
Illinois continues to fund and regulate schools in a one-size-fits-all manner. It's time for a paradigm shift. We have to move away from an over-reliance on state mandates to solve problems and towards a system that empowers and trusts local decision-making. How do we get there? We've got to recruit the most talented educators. We have to arm them with good information, clear goals, and the necessary support. And then we have to backstop that with a strong focus on results. So first, if we're going to empower local decision-making, we've got to have the best possible teachers and principals in every school. There isn't any other reform that we might pursue. I don't care whether it's more funding, I don't care whether it's the best standards in the world, that can substitute for sound judgment well applied by good, motivated, well-trained people in the field. So if we're serious about this, we have to rethink the way we train teachers and principals. We have to rethink the tools we're providing them, the way in which we're evaluating them, and then we need to empower them. Now, the happy news here is that Illinois is moving in a terrific direction. Chris Cook and Jesse Reeves from the Illinois State Board of Education are doing an unbelievable job. They've partnered with Judy Irwin at the Board of Higher Education, Jeffrey Oberzet at the Community Colleges Board, Jeff Mays from the Illinois Business Roundtable, and the Governor's Office all joined together to put Illinois on a path of becoming part of the American Diploma Project, which is an effort designed to help Illinois develop a common core of college and career-ready standards. And as importantly, Chris Cook's gone a step further. He's working with more than 40 states to tighten standards in a collaborative way, which is not only incredibly important, but very timely, because the Department of Education has recently pledged $350 million to help states develop assessments against those standards. To help support such local initiative in other schools and districts, we propose that Illinois direct a portion of any new education funding that it go to schools and districts via an innovation and performance fund. Schools and districts would be able to use these dollars to tackle long-standing issues. Critically, schools would set stretch but tailored performance goals. If they meet those goals, the funding would continue. In other words, instead of directing funds to support state-driven mandates, we would direct funds to meet local needs and do so in a way that is performance-driven, something I gotta tell you is almost unheard of in a public school system, and something that with real time and real investment has the power to transform the way schools do business.
This is just a remarkable, remarkable collaboration. I love this Daley Edgar partnership. I love the idea of doing business differently, and I mean that very, very seriously. The problem in education is we've had these traditional battle lines, and people don't talk, and people don't collaborate, and people don't work. And what you see here is this Advanced Illinois coalition of business and educators on both sides of the aisle, community folks, nonprofits. It is fundamentally breaking through. And I think this Advanced Illinois partnership is exactly the type of thing that we need around the country. We have to behave differently together. Adult dysfunction has been a huge part of the problem in education. And if we can do it here in Illinois, we can do it anywhere, given the historical dividing lines. So Robin, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you to Governor Edgar and Bill Daley for your leadership. And you guys are really setting, I think, a standard for where the country can go. So thanks so much for the leadership.
This is the biggie. Is Illinois on the right track to get substantial federal funding for education? And if not, and remember this is being taped, if not, any advice on other things that we might consider?
I think you guys know. I think, again, there's been real and substantial progress just in the last, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months, whatever it might be. So I think tremendous progress, a long way to go. But I think the real test, again, is moving from ideas to implementation. And again, as we talked about national board certification, and teachers setting a great example, not by talking about being lifelong learners, but by doing it. We're going to look to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in states that are demonstrating, not talking about a commitment, not talking about promises, not saying they're interested in this. We want to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in states that are actually driving a very strong reform agenda and leading the country where we need to go. We're going to be very, very tough-minded about this. We'll probably do 2 rounds, and so states that aren't quite there the first round will have a second chance to come back in. But I'm convinced that we've basically had a race to the bottom. We've had a dumbing down of standards. We've had a sense of mediocrity. And as a country, we've lost our way educationally. We used to lead the world in the number of college graduates, and we've really sort of flatlined, and other countries have just passed us by. And so if Illinois can continue to have the courage and the will to challenge the status quo, there's a huge opportunity there. But the proof is really going to be in what's happening here, not the talk, not the rhetoric, but in the actions.